Oh, yes.
Welcome back, everyone. Today I am very excited and drowning in 90s nostalgia to be bringing you a review for the new Beast Wars Vintage Reissue, Cybershark. This to me is one of the most exciting Beast Wars reissues out there because it's the first time, so far, that we've gotten a non-show character in the lineup. Everything up until this point has been your usual, A-list TV show characters, which isn't a bad thing, but those are the figures that tend to already get reissued the most. So now, they're diving into something a little more obscure and giving us the Maximal Cybershark. We're also in the near future going to be getting the Maximal Wolffang, so that's also pretty exciting. That being said, if you've seen my reviews before, you know how this goes. We're going to take a look at the toy's packaging. In this case, we'll also be looking at the instructions and the tech spec on the back. Then we'll open it up. We'll see Cybershark himself in both beast and robot modes. Naturally, I'll be doing some group shots and comparisons today. And then at the end of the video, I'll give my final thoughts. So Cybershark comes in the second year Beast Wars packaging, which is a bit different from the first. The layout of the card back is different. The graphic of the lizard or dinosaur eye has been kind of blurred and blown up a bit. Bigger picture right here, the way the name's spelled out. And then they've also switched from the rocky bubble to a smooth bubble right here on the front. Now, technically, the Tigatron release they did should have been the same way, because Tigatron was a second-year toy, but for whatever reason, either oversight or budget, because, he's just a recolor of Cheetor, so it would have been easy just to redo the Cheetor packaging and slap Tigatron in it. But yeah, now this is the first time we officially get that second-year packaging, which is pretty cool. I like that it's authentic to how it's supposed to look. You get this really gorgeous artwork of Cybershark right up here in the corner, his name, and then the toy front and center. It's in its beast mode already with the tail, removed. And I gotta say, I love the shiny paint deco on the top here. It's very nice. Oh yeah, it's also worth pointing out that unlike most of the other reissues we've seen so far, this toy is incredibly accurate to the original release. It's not a Takara deco, it's not some budget deco where paint apps are removed, or a, show-accurate deco. This is like the original paint job, more or less. I'm sure there's some slight shade differences if you have the original and compare it, but I can't see a difference, so I'd say that's pretty good. Down here, we get the little transformation steps from Shark to Robot. We got his name again. It says, with firing torpedoes. Which is pretty cool, right? Very fitting for an aquatic Maximal to have torpedoes. Right, you get your usual Beast Wars flavor text up here, and then we get our tech specs, and of course they're very truncated from the original, as we know. So he has strength of 7, intelligence of 5, well, that's rude, speed of 8, and a firepower of 5 also. Kind of a weird firepower rating. The guy has torpedoes, but okay. Under the picture, you get his name again, Maximal Cybershark. His function is ocean attack, and his little write-up says, upon finding the enemy, Cybershark launches his robotic hammerhead to knock him out cold. Knock him out cold. Very nice. Then finishes the job in robot mode by filleting his prey with his switchblade tail. Pretty violent. You sure he's not a Predacon? Alright, then we get the instructions here, which look very similar to the original. So it just says launch head, so you can actually fire, his little hammerhead part off. Tail weapon, so he's got that switchblade they're talking about. And then we just get into the actual transformation to robot mode. Shows that you can store his missiles in his back, or you can stick them in his little gut cannon thing, have him hold a switchblade tail. All sorts of cool stuff you can do with this guy. Now, I've never personally owned Cybershark. I do have the Transformers Universe Overbite, which was a very heavy cyborg-like retool of this toy, so I'm familiar with the mold more or less, but this is my first time getting the original version with all the, organic tooling and all that, so I'm really looking forward to opening this up. Okay, now we get to see Cybershark in his Hammerhead Shark Beast Mode, and it's a really, really neat looking Beast Mode. Pretty clean. There's some robot kibble showing underneath, but outside of that, it looks quite good. It does have articulated fins on ball joints, so you can, have them swimming around and stuff. Pose them and maybe hang them up on a string or something. Then he has some cool action features. So for one, you lift this head up and it shows all the mechanical details underneath. And this was a big thing in like the old Beast Wars toys, was having these little kind of attack modes where, you know, parts of the animal would peel away and you'd have, you know, missiles and blades and things popping out, kind of owning that whole robot disguise thing. So yeah, you can have it, you know, lift up, look around, and aim, because what it actually is a missile launcher. So you can see that right there. Actually fires off. The eye section just leaves behind this bare metal, which is really cool. The spring seems a little weak. I don't know if it was always like that or not, because I don't have the original release to compare it to. And then we also have this very cool thing where you push this lever right here, and a little switchblade comes out. So very, very dangerous shark. Like, this is not a guy you want to run into in the water, because not only can it do regular shark stuff, it can like fillet you with its tail, or it can even fire its head at you like a missile. So pretty cool. And again, I love the colors on this guy. This metallic, like bluish green right here, just looks absolutely beautiful on it. And then the more realistic shark colors are great too. Very nice blend going from the top to the underbelly. Just honestly an awesome beast mode, especially, you know, when you're considering like old Beast Wars toys, like, you know, your first wave or two releases, where the beast modes weren't always great looking. They tend to have like, you know, weird proportions and things, but this guy, I mean, he looks top notch. He looks just like a hammerhead shark. Now the colors might be a little exaggerated, but all they do is just make them look really cool, so that doesn't bother me at all. Next, I want to do a group shot with some related toys. So on the left here, we have Transformers Universe Overbite, who is a fairly simple repaint of the Japanese Beast Wars exclusive Hellscream figure. And what he is a very heavy retool of this original Cybershark toy. Ironically, actually ends up having a lot of the same colors. Like, his natural skin colors are pretty much identical, and then instead of having these blue-green spots, he gets blue-green mechanical bits. So the retooling that we can see in this mode is pretty significant. He gets a whole new mechanical dorsal fin right here, and then his lower fins are also completely new pieces that look like they're armed with some sort of harpoons or blasters or something. The head is an all-new piece, which is really just lending this guy a very monstrous visage, because he doesn't even have eyes. You know what I mean? Like, it's just all mechanical, and it's really freaky looking. The part underneath is still the same, but all this is quite terrifying. Look, he's got a big serrated blade on the front of it. And then the tail section has been replaced with this, like, I don't know, propeller type thing, or I imagine this is supposed to like spin rapidly, so it makes them swim faster. And there's actually a missile port here that you can fire the missiles out of, and we'll see that more in the robot mode. So really cool. The one downside, and you can't really see, but he only has half an arm in robot mode on this side, and because of that, there's nothing for the legs to plug into, so this one just kind of sets in a bit when it gets pushed down on, and causes him to sit kind of crooked. But other than that, really awesome retool. And now, while I don't have the Transmetal 2 version of Cybershark, I do have its much more famous recolor. Because sadly, despite Cybershark sporting two really awesome forms across Beast Wars, he was very quickly upstaged by this guy, Robots in Disguise, Skybite. Skybite is just a direct recolor of the Transmetal 2 Cybershark toy, but he is far more well-known by, you know, more casual fans out there, because he was the only one between the two to actually appear in an animated series. He was a pretty major character, a very memorable one, because he was an absolute goofball. He was like this warrior poet guy, and he would always recite poetry before going to battle, and he's a very memorable character. I do wish I had the Transmetal 2 Cybershark, because I actually like his colors more. His are more of like a sea blue color, and there's a lot of green and gray thrown in. This guy's colors are a little bit bright and loud for me, but it's still a really awesome toy, and I think makes for a fantastic shark mode, because it poses a lot better than these guys. These guys, because of their little fins underneath, they just kind of like sit on their faces. They just kind of get pushed down in the front. The way this guy's lower fins sit right here, though, he actually gets lifted up a bit. He's also got this much more dynamic curvature to his tail section. So very cool shark mode. As far as just, you know, being impressive, I think he's actually, you know, the best version. But if you are looking for an organic shark, this guy is still really cool in his own right. So you had 3 awesome toys, 2 of them being mold mates, and another one being an entirely new mold, which is supposed to be a new form for this guy. And they represent some of the very few actual shark transformers that exist. Because if you think about it, we get a lot of shark monsters like Sharkticons and Ripper Snapper, things that, are shark-like in appearance. But as far as actual sharks, how many of them are actually out there in Transformers? It's not a mode that's done very often. So these guys, I think, represent that animal very well. Okay, it's time to transform Cybershark. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and flip out his little tail blade. Then you're actually going to lift the tail up and detach it. And we're just going to go ahead and set it aside for now. You want to pull his feet out of his fists, because they have these little nubs right here that plug into the back of his fists. Just kind of get those out of the way. You're going to swing his bottom halves of the shark open like so. You're going to lift this up. You're going to swing this section down. You got to make sure you got clearance of his robot head. Bring it all the way down till it plugs in right here. And simply adjust his arms. Get him looking nice and cool. All right. That's it. That's transformation right there. It's fairly simple, but it has a great result because look at this guy. How cool is he, huh? He's even got a shark-based face in the robot mode and just looks fantastic. He's got the painted teeth right there. Of course, we can go ahead and give him his tailblade weapon. He actually wields it underhand, which is pretty cool. Not something you see super often. So he's got this just wicked looking weapon right here. I mean, he's great. I love him aesthetically and from like a play value perspective. So he's got lots of posability. It's all ball joints because that was, just kind of all the rage back in the Beast Wars days. So he's got the ball jointed head and shoulders. He does have bicep swivel, which is cool. Got a single hinge on his elbows. He's got the ball jointed hips, thigh swivel, which is pretty advanced for a toy of his age. Bending knees, and he does have ankle rocking, but no tilt. Ankle tilt was incredibly rare in those days. Typically, if they had an ankle tilt, it was only due to the transformation. It wasn't like a big engineering standard back then. All right, so he already looks pretty awesome, but we're not done with this guy because we've got some more play value here. So just like in the Beast mode, his shark head can lift up, and then he can fire it at you from his chest, which is pretty neat. Now he can actually wield this thing in his hand. That little nub right there on the end will fit in his fists. And it doesn't make a lot of sense to have him hold it. It doesn't really do anything. You could maybe call it a shield if you want to. This will come into play here in a moment. But what's cool is he has these missiles stored right here. And to get them out, you just push them up from the bottom. Pull one out. And they're cool because they have like these little sculpted shark faces on them, which is neat. And you just plug the missiles into his chest cannon. So we'll go. Is it in there? I guess it is in there. Okay. So then, I guess think of the hammerhead missile as like a one-time weapon. Maybe that's like his big one, and then these are his backup missiles, right? That he can keep firing, and they just shoot out. If you can get the trigger to push. And they come out a little better than the shark head does. English, guys, English. Boom, look at that. So I think it works pretty well. I'm not sure why the shark head doesn't fire off as well. Maybe too much friction because it's touching the edge of this or something. But it tends to be a bit of a dud when you shoot it. Could be, it's probably just the weight, honestly. So yeah, you can just leave things off if you want him to have a cleaner looking robot mode, because he does have this nice, kind of side area here, some abdominals sculpted in. Either way, whether you keep the shark head on, whatever you want to do, have him hold it, just put it out of the way. He looks really good. And it's crazy that this guy didn't make the cut of the show, because he is one of the most fantastic beast and robot designs out of the entire original Beast Wars series. And there's a reason that he's still kind of a cult favorite amongst people that used to collect Beast Wars, and a reason why people got really excited when he got announced as a reissue. Okay, now we get this really awesome group shot of the robot modes of the two other versions of, Cybershark or related characters. So again, we get our Universe Overbite and our Robots in Disguise Skybite. So as cool as the alterations to Overbite / Hellscream are in the Beast mode, the robot mode really takes the cake. So he gets an all-new robot head right here. His bladed shark head can now be used as an actual weapon in this mode. I mean, he can hold a shark head too, but it doesn't really do anything. It's just a head. This thing was made to actually be held in his hand and used. And then what's really, cool and different about this guy is that he only has half an arm here, and then this giant tail cannon thing forms the other half of the arm. So he's got a permanently attached cannon for an arm that he can fire. He can fire that out of, though I'm not sure if clearance allows, honestly, if that'll fit. But more importantly, he can fire his missiles out of that too. So very, very cool redesign. Plus, he also gets his thigh on this side completely retooled just to further give him that more asymmetrical cyborg-like appearance. And that was a big thing in Beast Wars 2, or Beast Wars the Second if you prefer, where a lot of those Decepticons ended up getting these, did they call them Cyber Beasts? I think they might have called them that. They got these upgrades that change them from regular vehicular Decepticons to these just abominations that were these asymmetrical blends of beast and vehicle modes. Kind of in the same vein as like Transmetal 2s or Beast Machines, but made to look especially horrifying. And Hellscream, who this guy is a repaint of, was a direct upgrade to the Beast Wars 2 Starscream. In fact, they all got like a little name change. So you like Hellscream, you had Max B from BB, Thrustor from Thrust, Dirge Gun from Dirge. So it was a whole thing. And honestly, I wish I had all those figures because they are super cool. And I still very much think that Hasbro or Takara or both of them should give us a Dirge Gun retool of the Kingdom Dinobot mold, because that would be amazing. And that guy's colors are probably my favorite out of all of them. Just beautiful toy. All right, and then we get over here and we see our Skybite, who again is just a recolor of the Transmetal 2 Cybershark. So you can get an idea of, what this guy was supposed to be upgraded into. Just picture him like his face is, green. All the yellow is basically green. He's got more of an aqua shade of blue on him. All that. And what's really funny is that if you have, pre-knowledge of a character's personality before you look at his toy, it really affects how you see things like their design or their expression. So this grin that he has makes him look kind of like a big goof, because we know Skybite is a big goof. But if you were looking at this as Cybershark, you might see that as a bit more, menacing or perhaps overconfident, and really just get a different vibe. So it's kind of funny how that works. So yeah, again, all three of these, fantastic toys in their own right. This guy is one of the most impressive retools I've ever seen of a base mold. And then this design is also just really, really cool. Now, I will say, I do kind of favor the regular version of Cybershark more than the Transmetal 2 version, at least in the robot mode. The beast mode, it's a little harder to say, because they're both doing their own thing pretty well. This one, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I can't not see him as Skybite now. I mean, he's got some great details. He has like the eyes on his chest and all that, and the spark crystal. But there's something about this little guy where he's, not the biggest Maximal out there, but he's packing like a really big punch. I really dig the way he looks. And this completes our look at the new Cybershark. Overall, I have to say, I'm really, really enjoying this toy, and I'm more excited about it than I have been for any of the other reissues, even Tigatron. And I think the reason for that is twofold. One, it's a character I've never had before, like in any shape or form, which is always nice. And two, I think he's honestly just a better toy than most of the reissues. I mean, obviously, your Cheetor, your Rat Trap, Optimus, all that, they're classic toys, right? They're the ones that were there first, they started all. But as far as, like, the actual execution, how well the beast mode works, how well the robot mode works, and then the play factor, the features, man, I mean, he really takes the cake, at least amongst the deluxes and stuff. I would say Scorponok would probably be better than him if he didn't have that issue with like the hair trigger spring-loaded figures or features that, everything just kind of pops off whenever you look at him funny. That really, devalues that toy. Otherwise, that might be better, or at least, on par with this guy. And then you might be able to argue maybe Primal or Megatron, though, I don't know, Megatron's just kind of a kibbly mess when you really think about it. And Primal, I don't know, it's hard to say. It might just be me being excited about something new and different, but I really like this guy. You know, whether you personally think he's better than or worse than the others, I guess it doesn't really matter. It comes down to, do you want to pick this guy up? I think anyone that's a Beast Wars fan that doesn't already have the original should definitely go in on this guy. Like, show Hasbro that we want this, right? We want some new Beast Wars figures that aren't necessarily just your usual cast that have been rehashed several times. They all got Kingdom figures or Legacy figures. Like, let's do something new and exciting and maybe get some of those lesser known molds out there for people to enjoy. And I think, you know, as far as the lesser known molds go, he is like top tier. So whether it's to send a message or just to get a really phenomenal Beast Wars toy, I fully recommend picking this guy up. Of course, that is just my opinion on Cybershark, so now I want to know what you all think. Do you think he's as good as I do? Is this a figure that, you know, you've been excited for or are now excited for? Or do you not want this for some reason? Either you have no attachment to the character and you only like, you know, TV show characters. Maybe you don't like the toy. Maybe you think it's garbage. Who knows? Different tastes, right? Any and all feedback's always welcome in the comments section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a like. Let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for this look at the new vintage reissue of Beast Wars Cybershark. And with all that said, I will see you next time.